Hey y'all, and welcome back to the Celestial Garden Show. I'm your host, Shanice, and this is your weekly transit talk where we break down the astrology for the week ahead so you can move through it with more clarity, alignment, and intention. This episode is for the week of June the 2nd through June the 8th, 2025. And this is a bold week, not in a loud, chaotic way, but it's more in the way of you know who you are, now move like it. I pulled the card for the week, and the King of Wands came out, grounded by the sun. So, this energy is all about courage and charisma. It's showing up and not apologizing for your light. The King of Wands doesn't beg for the spotlight. He walks in knowing he is the spotlight. And that's the type of energy we want to embody this week. But what grounds the King of Wands so you won't get too egocentric or cocky, because the King of Wands can be egocentric and cocky. And what gives this energy true power is clarity and consistency. And that's exactly what the sun is reflecting back, grounding that King of Wands energy: clarity, illumination, and divine timing. The sun doesn't rush or prove anything, it just rises every single day. We don't have to force it to rise every day, or we don't have to force it to set. The sun does its job, and that is the energy that we want to embody, stepping into our purpose. The sun represents our purpose and where we want to stand as a hero in our lives. So now, astrologically, we are getting a lot of support to back this energy up within regards to the tarot reading. So we've got Venus sextile Jupiter, Mercury sextile Mars, Mercury conjunct Jupiter right before it enters Cancer on Sunday, or Monday for some people. So that's head and heart moving together. Mercury represents our logical thoughts, our conscious thoughts. And Jupiter is the energy of God. It's the energy of the perspective, and it represents abundance and luck as well. Mars is the energy of confrontation, and a lot of people are afraid of confrontation, but not all confrontation is bad. And Mars wants you to honestly get clear about where you need to be more confrontational in your life. So, this is bold communication grounded with emotional intelligence, with Jupiter moving into Cancer. This is really bringing a perspective on, or shifting our perspective collectively on emotional intelligence. Cancer energy represents that. So this week isn't about faking confidence and being performative. It's about embodying the truth of who you are, even if you are still trying to figure that out, even if your hands are shaking, even if no one claps for you yet. Just like the King of Wands and the Sun in this reading for this week, your presence is enough. Your energy leads the room before your words even get there. So let's get into last week's recap. And I'm kind of going to freestyle this. I have not written down any notes because honestly, I have been working on building my balcony garden for the year. May was like the weather was really inconsistent, and I just did not want to plant anything. I wasn't sure if I was going to be traveling a lot. So I decided this weekend, June 1st, this past weekend, to plant my garden and to start some seedlings. And that also, I want to remind you guys, if you don't follow me on social media, I will be giving away some extra seeds. All you have to do is pay for the shipping. I'll post a link to that, hopefully in the description of this episode. But if I don't, make sure you sign up to my newsletter, because I will be sending off the link to how you to tell you how to get those seeds. So make sure you are subscribed to my newsletter. So back to last week. Last week, I believe Sunday, which I'm recording this on Monday, which is pretty late, but Sunday we had Venus conjunct Chiron in Aries. And this was the energy of getting clear about who we are and where we are really standing up for ourselves when it comes to relationships and how we show up in relationships. Venus conjunct Chiron in Aries is about being authentic in your relationships and standing up for yourself. Like Aries is the energy of the underdog. So it wants to stand up for you, for whoever, um in terms of if you are being suppressed in some way. Aries wants you to, create confrontation around that energy. It's the energy of war. So with Venus there, Venus is not comfortable in Aries, because she's sitting right across from her ruler Libra, and this involves other people. So oppositions, this is an opposition. Venus across from Libra is an opposition. So this opposition involves other people and you balancing your energy in relationships. And Chiron is the wound of not really feeling supported in your truth and who you are. So think about those things, the themes that I just spoke about, like where you aren't being authentic in yourself, where you aren't showing up for yourself, where you probably have a victim complex, a wounded complex, in regards to your relationships and how you show up in the relationships. Just take some time to reflect and think about that, because the conjunction that happened on Sunday was really illuminating and starting a new cycle in regards to that. Conjunctions are all about starting new cycles. Retrogrades, when you have your Saturn retrograde, that's the Saturn retrograde conjunction. So Saturn is returning back to its place in your chart, and that is a new cycle. So the same can be said for this Venus conjunct Chiron that happened June the 1st. Where have you not been showing up for yourself in relationships? Where are you avoiding confrontation where it's necessary in your relationships? These are some conversations or questions that you can have in your intimate partnerships, or some conversations that you can journal about with yourself, and figure out what you aren't balanced in when it comes to relationships and how you can show up better and be more authentic. So that's really one of the only major conjunctions or major transits, I'm sorry, that I can remember from last week. Let me pull up my calendar, because like I said, I am literally freestyling this recap from last week. I literally have been like working on my astrology course, which also brings me to another topic. I will offer a astrology course starting June the 11th. And this is just a beta trial. So this is the beginning of something that I plan to offer in the future with my clients. I do not plan on doing traditional readings. I want to respect my boundaries as well as my clients' boundaries. So I'm going more towards a teaching approach or route when it comes to doing readings and giving astrology insight. So if you are interested in joining the course that starts June the 11th, make sure you click the link to this episode. I will leave a link to sign up for the course. I do offer 3 types of subscriptions, and for this beta course, you only are paying one fee, so you don't have to worry about a reoccurring payment or subscription. But once I do launch the full course, or the live course, I will have a subscription offer for this course. So that's something I also wanted to touch on when it comes to astrology and what's going on in my personal life. I guess you can say that this is my personal transit corner and last week's recap. So last week I have my calendar pulled up, and like I said, we had Venus conjunct Chiron in Aries Sunday, June the 1st. And then how could I forget Thursday? The sun in Gemini formed a conjunction with Mercury in Gemini, and its rulership. Mercury is comfortable in Gemini, and the sun is illuminating something to us. So last week, this brings us back to that Venus Chiron conjunction. What came into your awareness last week, and where can you restructure your focus? Now, with that Gemini energy, it can be a bit ungrounded because it's an air sign. So it tends to want to intellectualize things, and it wants to, like, kind of bypass certain things that may feel uncomfortable to it. So make sure you are tapped into your water and earth placements in your chart. This can help you get more grounded in the messages or clarity that you are receiving when it comes to these conjunctions, especially from last week. And then we also had Mercury and Gemini form a trine to Pluto in Aquarius. And this is also bringing awareness within our consciousness, conscious awareness, in how we show up in our relationships, in communities. It shows us the power struggles that we deal with. So think about last week and what power struggles came up, what uncomfortable conversations came up, and where are you still performing and not really showing up as yourself? Those are some things that you can think about from last week. So now let's get into this week's overview. And for this week, we have the new moon, not the new moon, I'm sorry, we have Jupiter forming a conjunction with Mercury. And Jupiter is in Gemini, so it's fallen. And that only means that it's receiving too much information. It can be ungrounded. Jupiter wants to seek the truth, and it might be receiving too many truths in its opinion. So when it forms that conjunction with Mercury, this is asking us to get grounded in our faith and our belief system and be realistic about it, especially with Jupiter uncomfortable in Gemini. But Mercury is comfortable. So we do have some logical support from the universe to stay grounded. And also, right before Mercury, or right after Mercury moves into Cancer, Jupiter will follow it in Cancer. So this is asking us to get clear about where we are showing up in regards to our relationships, and how can we be more emotionally intelligent when it comes to our relationships, and ourselves as well. Where can we nurture ourselves and our relationships with our loved ones? So this week is a solar charged week, and we are moving out of the new moon in Gemini last week. So we start this week off with the moon in Virgo forming a square to the sun. This is the first quarter moon phase. This is the first call to action. This is the day where you can start to see your intentions manifest and come into fruition, or show you how you can align with your intentions that you set with the new moon last week. So we are still moving with that new moon energy from last week, but now Mercury's activating our minds and our mouths this week. We've got Mercury again sextiling Mars and Chiron. So this is truth that heals. Venus will be entering its home sign, Taurus. So it's bringing stability within our not self-awareness, but within our self-worth. And Mercury conjunct Jupiter and Gemini. So this is big voice, big messages, big communication. Mercury will then enter Cancer. So emotional intelligence will start to take the lead when it comes to our conscious awareness. And emotionally, this week we have the moon moving through Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, ending the week in Sagittarius. So we start the week off very detailed oriented, like I mentioned, with the moon in Virgo squaring the sun in Gemini. So this is bringing conscious awareness with that new moon energy, this intentions that we set last week. This is showing us how we can align with those intentions. So We start the week off with this detail oriented Virgo moon. Then we move through relationship balance with that Libra moon energy and end the week off with some deep emotional truth along with a bit of fire to move forward. So this is the week to speak your truth with care and clarity, lead without ego, and let your message be both powerful and heart aligned. So let's get into the daily breakdown of this week, starting today, Monday, June the 2nd. And again, I'm so sorry. I know I am late, but I really wanted to build my garden before I did all of this. I like to make sure that I am extremely comfortable and that the intentions are well aligned and in place when I record these episodes. So, June the 2nd, the moon is in Virgo. This is the first quarter moon phase. So, we have a very productive, focused, and practical day. Virgo energy wants to organize, fix, and fine tune things. So, start the week by checking in with your body. The Virgo house in your chart, I don't, I don't know everybody's chart, but I know Virgo energy represents the wellness or physical health, holistic health. So start this week off by checking in with your body and your to-do list. The moon again will be squaring the sun, so that's the first quarter moon phase. And some things that you can do today, Monday, is prioritize your most important task, clear your mental clutter, and schedule healing time. Some questions that you can ask yourself: where am I overcomplicating things? What should I do to simplify my day? So, Tuesday, let's move over to Tuesday, June the 3rd. The moon will be in Virgo all day and it will square Mercury, or for most of the day, and it will form a square to Mercury. So, um, some things that you can do on Tuesday with this moon square Mercury energy. This is our emotions having confrontation with our mind, our thoughts, the way that we commute and travel. So, this is some mentally active and precise energy because Mercury is in Gemini, so it's comfortable, but you might feel like the truth is uncomfortable. So Mercury is squaring off with the moon, and conversations could get a little bit spicy or critical with that energy. The moon squaring Gemini, the moon in Virgo squaring Mercury and Gemini. So choose clarity over critique with this energy. Some things that you can do are to be mindful with your words. Double check any important messages or documents. Reflect before reacting, and some questions to ask: what am I actually trying to communicate? Is this coming from truth or defense? So let's move over to Wednesday, June the 4th, and the moon will enter Libra. So we have some harmonized, balanced energy supporting us with this moon in Libra. The moon in Libra asks you to slow down and consider the other side. It's asking you to balance your relationships. So it's a great day for some creative collaboration or bringing peace to tension. Venus will sextile Jupiter. Venus in Aries will sextile Jupiter right before it moves into Taurus. And the moon in Libra, right after it moves into Libra, will form a trine to Pluto retrograde in Aquarius on Wednesday. So, some things that you can do is reconnect with people you value, look at the long term vision, and let beauty and gratitude guide your choices for Wednesday. Some questions that you can ask are: am I making space for both connection and boundaries? And where can I choose grace over ego? So with that Wednesday energy, I find that a lot of people don't necessarily have boundaries; they have barriers. Especially when it comes to a lot of conversation when it regards to mental health. A lot of people use their labels, but they don't actually try to support their labels. And what I mean by that is I see a lot of people say that they have a lot of mental health issues or a lot of personal issues, but they don't change anything about it. They will continuously repeat the same cycles, repeat the same day, and not change anything. And some people even take matters into their own hands and start doing spell work and won't change anything. And it's like, that is so counterproductive. But I digress. Let's move over to Thursday, June the 5th. The moon is in Libra. So ideas are moving fast on Thursday. Because Mercury is forming a sextile to Mars. And right before that's literally right before Mercury moves into Cancer, is having a lot of conversations this week. So Mars is in Leo and it's asking us to drop the act. It just formed like 3 oppositions with Pluto. It's asking us to drop the act. So Thursday's energy is very, like I said, fast moving, and you might have a lot of ideas. You might want to converse with a few people, and Mercury will sextile Venus right before it enters Taurus. So your words will carry value and your desires will get real with this energy. So speak very intentionally this week. Some things that you can do is talk it out, especially if anything has been on your heart on Thursday. It's a good day to talk those things out. Have some heart led conversations, especially with Mercury and Gemini stable, forming a sextile to Mars in Leo. Leo represents the heart energy. So have some heartfelt or heart led conversations. Reconnect with your money goals or beauty rituals with that Venus energy. Make moves on creative or romantic decisions. And some questions that you can ask yourself are, what needs to be said, even if it's imperfect? And what does pleasure feel like when I slow down? So let's move to Friday, June the 6th. The moon will be in Libra and move into Scorpio. So things will start to feel more intense. And you might want to get deeper into something. The moon enters Scorpio and Mercury is sextile Chiron on Friday. So you might feel emotionally raw, but also ready to face something that you've been avoiding. So some things that you can do on Friday: journal or speak through emotional healing. Sit with your feelings without judging them, and trust your process. You are at the right place at the right time. Some questions to ask yourself are, where am I still holding pain that needs acknowledgement? And what is my healing trying to teach me about power? So let's move over to Saturday, June the 7th. The moon is in Scorpio all day. So it's a very powerful and penetrating type of day. The moon is squaring Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, and also Mars. So this could be a day of like some shadow triggers. But it's also the opportunity for you to have some big breakthroughs. So be mindful of emotional reactivity. Move your body to release some tension. That's a Saturday is a good day to do some somatic therapy work, some breath work if you are feeling triggered. And don't project, process what you are going through on Saturday. So, some questions that you can ask yourself are, what's really underneath this emotion that I'm feeling? Am I trying to control or am I trying to heal? So, Saturday looks kind of uncomfortable, especially with our emotions forming some squares or some tense energy with power struggles and, war energy, Mars and Pluto. So this is a great day to get grounded and try to be really intentional about the way that you speak, and reflect before you speak. So let's move over to Sunday, June the 8th. The moon will still be in Scorpio for most of the day and then move into Sagittarius. So it's a big shift. Mercury will form a conjunction with Jupiter as well on Sunday, like I mentioned earlier in this episode, and then it enters Cancer. So if there's something that you want to say or share, Sunday is a powerful day to do it, and then let your heart lead it. So some things that you can do is speak or write your truth, launch, share, or declare your vision, reflect on how you want. things to go or feel going forward. Some questions that you can ask yourself: what truth am I ready to own publicly? Where does my mind need to meet my heart? So, all right, that wraps up this week's episode. And if this episode gave you something to reflect on, message me or just share it, tag me. I like to hear y'all's responses to listening to my episodes. I know, like, I'm still learning how to, like, I guess speak publicly. So this is still a bit uncomfortable for me. So just work with me, bear with me. I hopefully, prayerfully, I get better at this. Now, before I go, I have to say this again. Next week is a big week. This week is actually the last week we will have Jupiter in Gemini. And I had a lot of people tell me, oh my gosh, Shanice, Trump and Elon are turning on each other. And I was like, yes, Jupiter is moving into Cancer. That makes so much sense. Jupiter has been in Donald Trump's first house for a year, and it will be moving into his second house. I personally believe that, there is something going on with Donald Trump's health, whether that's mentally or physically. But enough of that. Jupiter will be moving into Cancer on June the 9th. And if you know astrology, Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. That means the energy we're stepping into is deeply spiritual, ancestral, and all about emotional growth, home, family, and nourishment. That's that Cancerian energy. Also, you guys, it represents some baby boom energy. I'm just being honest. So, I just wanted to let you guys know about Jupiter moving into Cancer this week. So if this week felt like you were prepping your message and realigning your voice, that's Jupiter in Cancer, and it's asking, now what do you do with it that's rooted in care, that's rooted in legacy, and that's rooted in soul level truth? What are you going to do with it? So we are closing out a 12-year chapter with Jupiter in Cancer, and we are opening a new one. I mean, not Jupiter in Cancer, Jupiter in Gemini, and we're opening a new one when Jupiter enters Cancer. And it's a new one around how we nurture ourselves and others. So yeah, it's a great week this week to get clear, because the blessings are coming in next week. And somewhere grounded to, like, land in clarity for you. So I'll talk to you guys in the next episode. Until next time, you guys, bye.